Hey guys, this will be video 14 for the how to design build a 58 Explorer replica and paint it sapphire blue if you can keep the smudges off of it, and then install shark fin mother of pearl inlays in a maple fretboard. Turned out exceptionally well. I had set this guitar up about a month ago and played it for about a week or so or something like that, and then preparing to finish the build. So broke it all down and then started finishing the build, and then the client, we kind of started adding some items like the Tessie kill switch. And originally I was not going to provide the wiring harness, and then we ended up coming to an agreement where I did the wiring harness as well per 50 specs. So all that said and done, this guitar, even after I had it set up and was playing it for a week or so, that I broke it back down. That was like a month ago. So where I'm going with this is when I finally put it back together a couple of nights ago, after it had been just sitting on the side table for a whole month, it just went straight to tune. It was amazing. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. It didn't surprise me, because if you do a really good job building your guitars and you epoxied your anchors in and you epoxied the studs in for the ABR1 after you got everything set up, then you should be able to break it down, relieve the tension off the truss rod if you're doing service work or painting, and then put it back together. You know, pick your time later, and it should go right back to being a guitar. And it did, and it's so cool because I mean, it just went straight back. Has been holding tune perfectly the last couple of nights, and today it is daytime right now. So anyway, not that that has anything to do with it, but nonetheless, crazy cool guitar, so beautiful. And so let's do just that. Let's do a little bit of a flyby, and then we'll do some weight analysis because I'm curious to see what the guitar ended up weighing, and then we'll do some center line balance assessment as well. And I won't try to start explaining that, but you'll understand what I'm talking about later on. Very cool, very cool guitar. This guitar is based on identical 58 specs, because the whole idea about the 58 Explorer actual authentic guitar, it's a little bit bigger body footprint. It's a little bit more rounder up here, stuff like that. And I might talk about that later, but this, even though it's shocking sapphire blue, it's actually feels and plays like a 58 should, or even like a custom shop would feel. Side dots are epoxy mixed up, and then I tinted them tinted the epoxy sapphire blue, so you know that's not just a black dot. But very cool how it. See, that's in the camera. That should be in the camera. I love it because of the semi-transparent Nitro Cellulose lacquer. I have no idea how many coats this is. It's probably 18 to 20, 22 coats or something like that. But because it's semi-transparent and it's a fairly dark color, it naturally gets a little bit deeper and richer in certain areas when you're doing spray work. And then out here in the middle of this real estate here, it tends to be truer to whatever color you mixed up. It's a little bit darker right in here. And that's what's so beautiful, because it's obvious that, wow, this was not a guitar that was sprayed by a machine. It was actually just hand sprayed and sprayed until it looked good, you know, or either it looked like what you wanted. And turned out really well. You know, it's got a beautiful, deep, rich glow. I've mentioned it numerous times in all my guitars. They're handmade, so they're going to have some little microscopic divots here and there and stuff like that. But nonetheless, that's cool. If you've ever seen an old 50s vintage guitar, even though it might be produced from a company, those guitars were handmade, you know, and you can see it, you can tell, and it's beautiful, especially the Nitro Cellulose lacquer. Just I was fooling around with it a while ago, and I looked down, and it was so cool because I could see the reflection of my hand reaching into the, the knob as I was playing it and fooling around with everything. So, okay. So, what do we got? Let's start back up at the top. Cluson reproduction nickel with a tulip, plastic tulip. These are per 50s specs. Um, all parts reproduction. That's an authentic specs Gibson bone nut. They're I think they're a quarter of an inch. They're kind of narrow, but cut down a little bit in height to just to fit perfectly. So really beautiful, and it's so cool. I love the mother of pearl, and the reason I put this, see if I can do this without dropping the guitar. I think it'd be kind of cool to maybe build this thing with a Les Paul. That might be cool, like in a maple fretboard. So that won't be anytime soon, but that's something I may consider in the future because I do love the large mother of pearl inlay. Jescar frets, 12-inch radius fretboard. I think these are jumbo medium. They're basically like a 6105 Dunlop. I'm exactly, well, actually just right under 7/8 of an inch thick at the first fret and exactly 1 inch thick at the 11th, or just barely under 1 inch. You basically could just say it's 1 inch thick at the 11th fret. This neck profile, it's kind of cool. This is just the profile I've always built, and it's basically just a jazz profile neck. And what that means is, got to be careful I don't damage anything. When I initially machine it, it is a 1 inch radius bit for the initial machine work. And then I used to do a 7/8 inch and then do a lot of hand shaping, but it still ended up being kind of a fat, chunky neck. But what this boils down to, this is the neck that I've been using probably for 25 years, or close to 24, 25 years. And it's basically just a Robert Benedetto jazz guitar neck. And I can call it a jazz neck because once you come up into the binding, as long as you go with a minimum of a 60 thousandths binding, you're able to roll the binding. So the binding is considerably thinner down here than it is up here, well, in the middle, and then it rolls in a little bit. I shouldn't say considerably. It's not like paper thin, but it actually rounds over, and it creates more of the oval profile. So what is it? Gibson, they call it like the Carmelita. The thickness is roughly 7/8 of an inch, 1 inch, 7/8 at the first fret, 1 inch thick at the 11th fret. With that profile, they're calling that neck the Carmelita. And it feels incredible. Plays great. Plays great, whether you're doing chord work or faster work as well. Okay. All right, that's a Honduran mahogany. That's quarter sawn Honduran mahogany neck. And this one has the long tenon per the 58 specs. I usually don't do a tenon that long, but because I had the additional length, I went ahead and just machined that really long. So if you came in here and sanded all this out or machined that out, you would see the quarter sawn. Might be able to see a little bit of it right there, but it's quarter sawn Honduran mahogany with quarter sawn maple fretboard. So it's a tone monster. I mean, it sounds incredible. Plays so nice as well. So, and yeah, I'm pretty sure I clarified, once I had built it. I don't know how well that picks up on the camera, but it's just got a great throaty mid-range sound. Anyway, unfortunately, these little cameras don't pick up this sound very well, but I got to tell you, man, it is a player's guitar, and it's the type. It's one of those guitars where when you pick it up, man, you'll burn off a 8-hour Saturday just like that, and you'll have one of the best days you've had playing guitar in a long time. So I'm crazy happy with this guitar. I'm not surprised because, and I'm not arrogant, but it's getting to the point to where the Explorer replicas that I've built, I know exactly how every one of them are going to sound, feel, the sustain, etc. And it's pretty much off the charts. Other than the fact this one being the maple fretboard, I was, and I never really let the client know that I was a little bit spooked by building this guitar because I really didn't know how this was going to sound. I've played a lot of just all maple necks, but I had never played a maple fretboard atop 800 mahogany lower. And so I was in uncharted territory. So I got to tell you, man, it's a great choice and it sounds incredible. It will warm up according to how you play, the pick you use, but the maple gives it a beautiful, sharp, mid-range bite if you want to dig in. And even like if you're doing like your funky stuff, I can't play that. I can't play that loud enough. But it's just got a beautiful bite. So the cool thing about the maple is, man, you could do some snappy, funky bass line work. I mean, my God. And I was doing like hillbilly hybrid finger picking. It's pretty much all over it's all over the place, man. I'm just really happy with it. It's one of the best builds I've ever achieved as far as this palette of tone that's just all over the effing charts, man. It's so cool. So anyway, am I ever going to build this one again? Very likely, very likely. And I even love the Sapphire Blue too, because this was actually the client's idea. This whole guitar, I'm not going to go into it because I've already covered it in past videos, but he basically just bought the body from me and then the neck lower, all two different components. And then he asked me what would I charge to build the guitar. And then, we started talking numbers and stuff. And then he let me know immediately that he wanted to go with the maple fretboard, the shark fin mother of pearl. And then, but the guitar body was originally white. And I thought he was just going to go with like a stain grade mahogany, a clear coat 100 mahogany neck and a white body with all this stuff. But he was like, no, I'm thinking about going Sapphire Blue. And as soon as he said the Sapphire Blue, man, I knew that was going to be a crazy cool guitar to build. And so there you have it. So the rest is history. Okay, so I talked about the neck enough to give you an idea of what's there. There's no sense in talking about any of this stuff because I covered it enough in the last videos, but I'll just go down the line. Kluson ABR1, the studs are epoxied into the body. Kluson aluminum nickel with the anchors epoxied into the body. So therefore, that's a lot of the reason why it's so stable. But like if you were to break it down and do service work to it, put it back together, you're not going to have sloppy studs or anything like that. And I'll show this guitar just briefly. I may talk about this guitar a little bit, but same thing here. Like, see these studs are epoxied in, and man, they're not going anywhere. And the cool thing about whether you go with gold hardware or like, I wouldn't recommend changing the hardware tone here, but I don't have another ABR1, but you could take this guitar, which is basically a husk right now, and boom, build it up and have a playing guitar immediately. So anyway, so the studs and anchors are epoxied in, and when that anchor goes in, I actually install the ground wire down through there, press that anchor in, and I strip this wire, and it makes a permanent internal ground on the inside. That way, that's going to give you the best grounding for the guitar. It just is. It's never going to be a grounding issue type guitar, or it's never going to have a grounding issue. Okay. Tessie kill switch. This is custom. I'm custom machine every one of my pick guards per different templates. This is a 24 3/4 inch scale guitar, so that's for the 24 3/4, which is historically accurate. And then I have one for a 25.5 inch scale if I do the Fender scale. But this was just crazy cool when he mentioned wanting to do this Tessie kill switch. And I ended up machining that out larger, and that's in past videos. I covered that, but it's awesome. And I was a little concerned. I wasn't reluctant, but I just knew that from a player's standpoint, I was worried that it might get in the way. But even if you're doing like hybrid finger picking, you tend to keep your finger planted up here. So in other words, it's nowhere near in the way. And when you're playing it, you forget it's even there. So if you're going to build your own Explorer replica and put a Tessie kill switch down here, just keep it in line with the center of the bridge and you will be fine. Okay. Now for all your Van Halen work, the cool Eddie Van Halen stuff. These are Gibson reproduction, the smaller profile pickup rings, and these screws they're from All Parts, but they're stainless steel, and they are the actual number 3 Gibson specs. Yeah, I do have them right here. All Parts, a pack of 20 steel Gibson R size pickguard screws, GS 50-005. Okay. These are stainless steel. I don't know why it doesn't say stainless steel on there, but I know they're stainless steel because a magnet won't stick to them. And I started always installing stainless steel screws in the pick guards because I lived in South Florida for quite a while and I actually lived on a boat, and I would always have the boat open, and I was just like right in the climate, and I had an old guitar that I had built, and the pickguard screws rusted pretty bad. It kind of looked cool because it relicked really well, but man, the Tone Pros nickel and all that stuff, that guitar looked like it was 75 years old by the time I moved back to Alabama. Switchcraft 3-way, L-type, braided wiring. We've already covered this stuff in the past past videos. Switchcraft 1/4 inch mono nickel reproduction black. I like the black. The client had asked my opinion about doing a white. A white, I don't recommend it. I think the black is really classy, and just if anything, let the pick guard pop in the parchment, and let the Tessie kill switch pop. And I would suggest leaving these black. They're just really beautiful, and also, you know, it just is. Shaler reproduction. Where did I get? I don't think these might have come from All Parts. I'm not sure, but I always run the Shaler strap lock system, and guarantee your investment. Okay, let me check the time. 18 minutes of just a bunch of rambling information here. But I don't know if I mentioned it in this video. Yeah, I may have mentioned it because this is the third time I've done the video. I'm gonna have to start doing set lists again because I get so long-winded. But this is one of those guitars that once you start playing it, you don't want to stop playing it. And it's just I'm really happy with that, not just for me, but for the client as well, because I didn't really know. I may have mentioned I didn't really know how it was going to sound with the maple fretboard, but I knew that any combination of maple and Honduran mahogany is usually always really, really safe. So if you're thinking about building the guitar, the maple neck on the Honduran mahogany is an exceptional choice. It's got just enough bite to cut through, and actually in a very aggressive train wreck fashion if you want to, or you can warm it up and play your jazzy stuff. Okay. So very, very happy with this. And I probably won't, I don't see any need talking much more about the guitar. I just wanted to get some images of it. So, oh, I know what it was. I don't know if I mentioned it in this video because I'm about to ship it. And once this thing's gone, she's gone. And I have a tendency when I'm building the guitar, sometimes I don't collect much information, and then a year or so will go by, and I'll be asking myself, what was it I did on that guitar? Was it nickel or was it this, or what, or did I do a tone pros, or what did I do, and did I do a 19th fret mother of pearl, or did we do a first fret mother of pearl? So with these videos, it helps me catalog my work as well. Okay. I love the idea of building guitars without the pickups because A, they're terribly expensive. And if I include the pickups, I always end up eating something in the build in order to justify putting a really nice pickup in there. But I like the idea of building the guitar exactly how you see it, and then even doing the wiring, and then just let them provide their own pickups. And it has worked out so well for me and also for the client because what I would have put in this guitar or that guitar is probably completely different from what other people would put in it. I typically would go with like a Seymour Duncan, an antiquity or a PAF, but I like the idea of going with an Alnico 5 in the poplar body because the poplar body is a very warm guitar, but since this has got the maple fretboard, you might be fine to go with an Alnico 2. However, Art is going to be going with the Seymour Duncan, the Duncan Distortion, and I think those are ceramics. So man, this thing's going to be a screamer. So it should be an incredible guitar. And I've never played a ceramic pickup equipped guitar, but the poplar with the mahogany should be warm enough that you would be fine to go with a real powerful output pickup like that. Should be fine. Should be fine. If it was too much, just back up to like Alnico 5 of some sort, and go from there. And if you wanted a real warm jazzy guitar, which I don't think this guy wants that, then you could go with the Alnico 2. Okay. All right, let me check the time. 22 minutes. Let's do some weight and balance analysis. And I'm going to show you something I discovered. I've covered this in past videos, but just take a scale, lay it on the table, fold a piece of paper so you don't risk scratching the body. Okay, and what I discovered is basically going straight to the finish line. If you find the center of the body and the neck, I'm going to try to look down it. That's pretty much the center right there. Then move up and set atop that. I have to go. I'm way to the. You'll find that this design is pretty much perfectly balanced. Let's see, is my hand? Yeah, you can see my hand in the left. So it's just perfectly balanced. And let me look down. I'm not just saying this to say this. I'm right in the middle, right there. And even though I don't have the pickups in it, it's close enough for rock and roll. So this original design, and I've never heard anybody talk about this, but even though it has this long trapezoidal horn here and this long wing up here, the symmetry of this design is off the charts. I mean, it's amazing. I don't know if that's dumb luck or if they actually designed all that in. And I got off a little bit, but I'm not going to continue to just talk about it because I've spent a lot of time talking about this analysis in past videos. But when you've got a guitar that's that symmetrically or that well balanced, you can actually go with a guitar that's a little bit heavier and you won't feel that weight. It's right at the point to where it's about to start, the headstock is about to start slipping or hold falling into your left hand a little bit, but it's not a headstock diver at all. It's not like the SG. And the cool thing about this mass up here, that really keeps this body under control as far as not being a headstock diver. So very cool design, and I can't, and it's weird. I almost got to float a little while ago. I was pretty close to it, but anyway. So just keep that information in the back of your mind. That's some pretty cool stuff. All right, now let's see how much it weighs. And I've got some pickups over here where I'll just set them up on top of the guitar. Start out in pounds first. And I'll try to keep it in the camera. Let's see. No hands. 7.170 pounds before the pickups. 3,252 grams. And these are basically just, the nickel covered pickups that I use for layout. They're just replicas of they're Alnico 2, but they are a replica of the 58 pickup. Okay, 7.842 pounds. I think that's the guitar. I don't think I'm missing anything other than the strap. And, obviously you wouldn't be weighing that. So 7.842 pounds, 3,557 grams. So 7.8 pound guitar, man, that's perfect. And especially when it is as balanced as this guitar is, the design. And the cool thing about that is that's nothing that I did. That's just that's their design. So keep that information in the back of your mind if you consider building this actual footprint. All right, let me check time. 27 minutes. Let me think. What else would I want to talk about in this video? I'm just looking at the table over here. One thing that I discovered, which was kind of strange, I've got 2 different monster cables here, and it kind of spooked me when I installed this cable. It was a little bit tight as I was going in, and then it's a little bit tight when I remove it. But then when I install this one, installs and removes with these. Oh, I know where it is. I think it's upstairs. But I've got a 12-foot long monster cable, and no kidding, I mean, it's amazing. It just slips in as easy as that one right there. So, and I'll say this to the client: Art, don't be spooked. And I'll let you know when we communicate later on. But don't be spooked thinking that there's some sort of bind in there. If you happen to have a monster cable that might have, I don't know, it might be a standard sleeve rather than a metric or something. I don't know, because this is probably metric. And I was watching a video about Joe Bonamassa, his guitars, and I think even the amps that Fender was making for him. He went with a output jack that had a little bit smaller diameter, so that it was a real tight fit. So who knows? But nonetheless, I mean, there's no bind there at all. But just keep that in mind if you're building your guitar and you're using the Switchcraft with a monster cable. Don't freak out and think that, oh God, I got some sort of bind in there. It may just be that they're machining these a little bit larger diameter for a very precise fit. So who knows? That's something I don't know. Okay, what else is on the table there? Talked about all the pickup covers and stuff in the past videos, so I'm not going to go into that other than I machined those per my own jigs that I make, my templates that I make. And there you have it. So it's ready to ship, Art. And I appreciate the business. I can't think of anything else to talk about. Just really nothing else to talk about. And primarily in this video, as I mentioned, I just want to make sure that I capture the guitar, because see, I'll go through this video and then I'll pause that shot right there. And then for my portfolio, it'll give me something to remember. Because, and it's kind of funny, I make the statement, you're really happy with one of your builds when you kind of start grieving, knowing that it's about to be gone. And the only thing I hate that I was not able to pull off, I didn't have time to get to take this guitar up to Nashville and take it in the studio, or either show it to some of my buddies up there, because I know, I won't say any names, but I know there's one guy that he'd have gone crazy for this. He's a session cat and a killer player. I would have loved to have allowed him to play it a little bit, and also just hear how he would interpret its potential. But nonetheless, I should have some really good images here, and that image right there, where would that be? That might end up being the thumbnail. Who knows? Again, I make this statement, we're not worshiping them, but I got to tell you, after building guitars for 25, 30 some odd years, and I mean seriously focusing on trying to build a really good guitar for that long, since the early 2000s. I mean, I've been bolting guitars together since I was a kid, but when you know that you finally have arrived as far as like building a really, really great guitar, it's very rewarding, I guess is what I'm saying. So, anyway, so I'm looking at the table. I can't think of anything else to talk about. We talked about the center line, the balance of this guitar. We talked about the weight, so it's under 8 pounds. And the only thing I did not get to capture on this guitar finished would be, this is pretty important, by epoxy gluing the anchors into place. If you were to go with a Vibramate and a B5 Bigsby, this is a B6, this is off my Gretsch 6120, but if you go with like a B5 up atop a Vibramate, if you epoxy these anchors in, when you torque that Vibramate down, you're going to get a much better response from your Bigsby work. I ran into a bit of an issue with a Flying V that I built once, and I put a Vibramate atop that guitar and then a B5, obviously, and I didn't care for it. The design was such that it moved a little bit. When I wanted to dive down, the Bigsby would tip down and tighten up, and it was counter effective as you would dive in to go down, or if you pulled up, then it would loosen up, and it was the weirdest thing. So with this design right here, with the anchors in place, I'll just set that up because I want to see what this looks like on camera as well. If you were to trip up on a beautiful old vintage Bigsby, the Sapphire Blue, I've never seen this, is where I'm going with this. And I got to tell you, that Sapphire Blue is killer against the vintage. I got a piece of paper towel on the bottom of that for this particular purpose, in case she wants to slide around a little bit. But I think a B, if you were to put a B, if you were to put a B7 on here, it would be roughly in that location right there. Okay. So really, looking at this, if I got it centered. Okay, sorry guys. Again, I'm just being kind of selfish here because I want to capture this. Okay, pretty cool. All right, let's get that off. Okay, that's good. All right, so I appreciate you guys dropping in the video right there. I have no idea what the next video will be. It will probably be related to finishing this build right here, as well as probably the other guitar over there, the Black Limba guitars where I'm going with this. So, but for this video, I just want to capture this for the client as well, so he could see it. And if he had any questions, then he could let me know. Yeah, I've already talked about the side dot inlay. So I appreciate you guys dropping in, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Sorry, let me move that forward a little bit.